Look, the first one is what people think is none of your business. I know we've all heard this, but we really have to live it. You know, everyone's got an opinion. I could get a bit rude on that one, but I'm not going to. Everyone's got an opinion, and that's up to them. That is not your problem. Okay, what you do, how you put yourself out in the world is your problem. Focus on that.
I'm Junaid Ahmed, host of Hacks and Hobbies podcast and a digital presence advisor at HumbleZone. This episode is brought to you by Home Studio Mastery. I launched a consultation and course program to help podcasters and course creators to create a space in their homes that will reduce the friction of creating content and appearing their best when showing up on camera. The pandemic gave us a lot of issues, but this one is here to stay. We're now so much closer to our audience thanks to video becoming more popular and affordable. I help guide folks who want to create Hollywood-worthy studios to not only capture great content, but also build more confidence, more authority, and be more comfortable in front of the camera. If I can do it, you can too. And with my help, you can do it faster. So if you'd like to learn more, visit homestudiomastery.com and how you too can create a home studio that brings out your personality, professionalism, and possibilities. Thank you for tuning in to Hacks and Hobbies with your host, Junaid. We're visited by our amazing guests coming from all walks of life who want to learn their story, their struggles, and their journey on how they got to where they are today. So stick around.
Magic Barclay is the lead practitioner at Holistic Natural Health Australia and host of the podcast, A Magical Life, Health, Wealth, and Weight Loss. Magic's life changed when she faced multiple life-threatening conditions. She then decided to find the root cause of her health issues, and that set her on a path of life-changing learning. Magic helps mainly women aged 45, 65 who feel unheard or misled by mainstream medicine, or anyone who wants to bring their health back to basics. By treating root cause and the systems of the body, not chasing symptoms, reconnecting to the environment and overcoming their past trauma and that of previous generations through healing, the PNAI, psychoneuroendoimmune pathways of the body. She is also a master practitioner in mold toxicity recovery. Personally, she is a mom of 2 amazing humans and 2 gorgeous fur babies, grower of organic food for her family, and a passionate native gardener. Magic, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me.
Super excited to have you here. Let's take a walk down memory lane. This is what I love to start with because I might have known you. I might know you, but the audience hasn't heard about who you are. They can read it in the bio, but I'd love to have you introduce yourself and walk us through how you got started.
Okay, how I got started was a difficult childhood, a very disarray of teenage years, and then an unhappy marriage. Doesn't sound good, but you know what? All these things taught me how to be me, because that's who I lost in my process. So I was always the kind of person who, racing cars sounds like fun, let's go do that. So I would make a career of that. Traveling with musos sounds fun, let's go do that. So I would go and do that. And then in the process of all the trauma in my childhood, teens, and then in my marriage, I lost that. Then I became this person that had to ask other people if I could do something. I became really not even a shadow of myself, but just a doormat. And I'd never been a doormat. Even through the tough years in childhood, I was still reasonably self-assured, but that just dissipated over the years. What it culminated in was multiple conditions that threatened my life. And your listeners are probably wondering, how did that happen? My body had to react because it didn't feel safe. I didn't feel safe. My body didn't feel safe. So it did what it could to slow me down or nearly completely stop me in order to keep me safe. And that's what led me to my passion, which was always there, but simmering in the background, and that is natural health. I treat myself, I treat my family, I have a large roster of clients, and I have other practitioners in the team. And we all look at what nature can provide, because through all my trauma, through all my years, there was one thing I was always connected to, and that was nature. And I didn't know what it was doing for me then, that when I would go and do gardening, I would feel better. But I just didn't know what that meant. Of course, now I do, and I know it can actually save my life getting out in my garden. And that's basically taking us up to today.
I totally love that. And you're so right. Food and the nature around us has so much effect on how we respond, how we grow, and entirely how we even think. So it's really great that you got to discover, hey, this has been here this whole time and able to save your life.
Totally. Look, I do have to make a comment because you can probably hear a funny noise in the background. I'm in Australia and we have a bird called a magpie here, and it's spring. So it's your fault. It's our spring. And in spring, magpies are notorious for, when they have babies, swooping people and killing them, not killing them, but pulling their eyes out or ripping their scalp or whatever. They're pretty vicious to protect their family.
Wow.
And my whole part of being in nature is I've decided there's 2 young magpies about to start their first family. I've been out there every day talking to them, and the male is outside singing to me to tell me it's time to be in your office so I can talk to you. So I'm sorry if you're hearing a bit of a song in the background. It's an Australian magpie. If you make friends with them, they make friends with you.
Thank you so much for letting me know. I'm going to actually, because I can't really hear the sound of the magpies, but we might have to throw in some sounds of those bird calls, because it'll be a good way to introduce nature to our listeners, because again, the nature has all the answers that we need.
Exactly.
The entire reason I started this podcast was because my son had allergies, and I discovered that local honey would be really good for it. And lo and behold, 8 years later, I started the podcast talking about beekeeping and becoming a beekeeper myself. And Australia was one of the inspiration, because there's a company based out of Australia called the Flow Hive, and they created a really amazing hive. These 2 father and son invented this beautiful hive that was easily maintained, and you can extract honey without bothering the bees. So we're all about nature here.
Love it.
So as you're going through this journey, resolving and solving your problems, solving your health issues, creating that magical life, and you've got the amazing podcast theme, A Magical Life, Health, Wealth, and Weight Loss. What was the recurring situation, a recurring message throughout that you needed to go and do this?
Look, the recurring message throughout was treat yourself with respect. You can't keep giving to others, being of service to others without doing that for yourself. And I think that's something I definitely lost along the way. I had to learn that I can't treat my clients until I'm treating myself. So as we speak, I'm on an anti-inflammatory protocol because I'm telling other people they need to get their inflammation down, but I'm tackling it myself. So I really had to learn how to do that. And, this became really apparent when I got on a plane with my kids. They were babies, right? And the whole safety message comes on of you've got to put your oxygen mask on first before you help the kids. And I would get really angry. I'd be like, no way, my kids come first. It took me such a long time to realize the reason they tell you to put yours on first is if you're dead, you can't help the kids get theirs on. And that just didn't even enter my mind. It was like, how dare you, my kids come first. So this was the undertow of what was going on. And that was, I was letting myself be last because I didn't value myself. I didn't have that sense of self. And I get a lot of clients come to me in that same boat. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a business owner, I'm a whatever, a husband, whoever they are, but they're not them. And one hack I've worked out of life is be you, because no one else can.
No, you're absolutely right. And there's a lot of things that resonated with me. We've got to put ourselves first. We cannot be defined by the relationships that we're in. Oh, I'm a father. Oh, I'm a husband. Oh, I'm this. No, but who are you really that defines your unique yourself, your unique personality? And it's sometimes it's just because we are taught or we brought up in a certain way. You got to pay attention to this thing. You got to take care of others, which is a noble act, but you got to take care of yourself first, because if you're dead, you cannot take care of your kids.
But you know what? Even on our graves at the end of our life, this is accepted as a whole by the world, because we say loving husband, loving father, loving wife. We're all something, a relationship to someone.
Yeah.
And that's all fun and good, but it doesn't tell you anything about the person.
Yeah.
And that's the person you're supposed to be mourning.
Wow. There's been a lot of deaths in the family, deaths in all around the world. And that brings a really great point. How do you remember the person that you miss? You usually are telling stories of what they did, telling stories of how they treated each other, how they treated their friends, their family, their siblings. And those are the things that essentially define us. Or I don't know where else to take that. But yeah, you're absolutely right.
There's no memory long term. Say on a gravestone, I don't want to be morbid. A stranger walks along 20 years later and they don't go, oh, wow, that's Fred. And look, Fred loved animals and Fred loved gardening and Fred flew an aeroplane for a hobby. Great. There's none of that. And that needs to be there. And I guess we don't even live like that when we're alive.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you go to a networking thing, for example, oh, what do you do? And out comes the elevator pitch, but it's usually very contrived, it's very worked out, and there's no personality in there.
Yeah.
It's, oh, I treat so and for such and such. It's not, let me tell you about me first. I love gardening, and it gives me such inspiration that when I treat my clients who are such and such age, who do such and such thing, I remember back to the passion when I'm gardening, and I transfer that passion to my work. We don't say that.
Yeah. I think it takes a lot of personal development, lots of self-reflection that enables us to be that person. And I think as podcasters, yourself and I, we've spent a lot of time reflecting. We've spent a lot of time talking to other people to be able to reflect. The average Joe, the average person hasn't. They've been in the receiving end of consuming content from other people. So I would actually invite whoever's listening to take an interest in, just start something, even if it's a blog, even if it's something that you do just for yourself, to be able to grow in ways that you probably haven't imagined about yet.
Exactly. I say about my podcast, it's the best therapy I never paid for. And why? Because my listeners know exactly who I am. They know all the nitty gritty, even the stuff that I don't really want them to know, because I'm an open book and I'm bringing guests from all around the world and I'm exploring things. And once I say it, it's out there. It's not still stuck in me, hurting me. It's out there. And the listeners know a lot more about me than probably even my closest friends do. Because when you go for coffee with your mates, you're not going, blah, here's my life.
You're not.
On
Exactly.
your podcast, you do.
I think that's what I love about podcasting, because we get to share our side of the story as well as listen to the other side. So as you turn your life around, you figure out, hey, this is what's going to help me. This is what's going to help my family. This is what's going to help me be
my best version of putting my mask on before my kids. And you mentioned earlier you had a lot of clients that also are getting the results. And I know we're gonna hold. I know you've got 3 hacks to share with us on how to be that more holistic natural. What is that holistic natural health formula? But before we get into that, what are some of the things that people were experiencing before they found you?
Look, the main things that I work with are autoimmune, mold toxicity, and trauma. And when I say trauma, it's a word that's bandied around a lot, but I work with the PNEI of trauma, which is the psychoneuroendoimmunology. And that's a pathway from the thought or feeling of a trauma, then ends up in your neural pathway, it ends up in your endocrine system, and it ultimately results in autoimmune. A lot of people don't realize that holding back that thought, that memory, that feeling of something that happened or something that you believe can actually harm you. And so that's where I specialize. I get clients that are dealing with a whole lot of other stuff, and I definitely refer them to the other practitioners.
Yeah.
Because you've got to, in business and in life, understand what you are good at and what you are passionate about. You can't stretch yourself too thin for everyone.
Man, that is a great message, and I so needed that today.
Good.
Thank you so much, Magic. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back as Magic's going to share 3 hacks to take away.
I'm Junaid Ahmed, host of Hacks and Hobbies podcast and a digital presence advisor at HumbleZone. This episode is brought to you by Home Studio Mastery. I launched a consultation and course program to help podcasters and course creators to create a space in their homes that will reduce the friction of creating content and appearing their best when showing up on camera. The pandemic gave us a lot of issues, but this one is here to stay. We're now so much closer to our audience thanks to video becoming more popular and affordable. I help guide folks who want to create Hollywood-worthy studios to not only capture great content, but also build more confidence, more authority, and be more comfortable in front of the camera. If I can do it, you can too. And with my help, you can do it faster. So if you'd like to learn more, visit homestudiomastery.com and how you too can create a home studio that brings out your personality, professionalism, and possibilities.
Hey guys, welcome back. We've been speaking with Magic Barclay. She's an amazing human. She's a lead practitioner of holistic natural health in Australia. She's also the host of A Magical Life, Health, Wealth, and Weight Loss. Now, she has shared how she got started, what enabled her to escape the trauma, the different things that she was feeling, almost lost her life. So really awesome that she's able to now share that with us. She has a ton of clients that she's helped with. Something that she mentioned earlier, right before the break, was letting go of things that we're holding back can also cause toxic issue in our bodies. I got a message from Gary Vee earlier today, and he said, grudges kill you, not them. So let it go. And like it just so happened like all of this is happening in the same time in space. And I'm like so grateful for Magic to be here and share her journey. Magic, take it away. Share the 3 hacks to take away so that we can feel less burdened, more freer. And how can we do that?
Look, the first one is what people think is none of your business. I know we've all heard this, but we really have to live it. Everyone's got an opinion. I could get a bit rude on that one, but I'm not going to. Everyone's got an opinion, and that's up to them. That is not your problem. Okay, what you do, how you put yourself out in the world is your problem. Focus on that. I guess the second thing is look to nature. So for our behavior, for what we put in our bodies, for our medicine, our supplements, our food, like I said, our behavior, look to what the animal kingdom do. We as humans have really lost our way. Like we really have. We've stuffed it up. We think we're so evolved that we're going backwards. We're becoming sick. We're becoming upset. We're becoming, I guess, prisoners of our lifestyles.
Yeah.
But look to our closest cousins, the gorillas. Okay. They share 95% of our DNA. They live happily. Most of them all the time live in peace. Yes, there are some wars, but they're short-lived and they're local wars. And then they get on with it. They get on with their life and they play and they raise their families and they have a good time and they eat and they sleep and they're very social. They're not looking outside their world for everything. They're not looking for the next best thing.
That's so true. They are content with where they are. They're content.
They're very content with where they are, and they live a very simple life. So as humans, we need to stop making our life so difficult because it's actually killing us. As I said, we're devolving. Okay, so there's your first two. And I guess the third thing is know who you are. It does not matter. I guess it comes back to the opinions piece in number one, but it does not matter what other people want you to be. Have a sense of self. And I talk about this a lot. And in my journey, that's what I lost. But know who you are. Know what lights you up. Know what your golden values are. Know what drives you. And know what the hill that you will die on will be. Because that's what makes you you, and you are unique. And there's no point in trying to be someone else. Stop comparing yourself to the supermodel. You don't know what that supermodel goes through. They might eat 3 peas a day and cut them up with a knife and fork, and they've got Botox and fillers and hair extensions and whatever. They might feel pretty crappy about themselves. So stop trying to be them. Stop trying to be the business mogul that you saw who, you know, says they got to overnight riches, because guess what? They probably didn't get to overnight riches. And I say to my clients, stop leading an Instagram life. Lead the life that no one's putting on their social media. Lead a life that you can be proud of, because guess what? It's got nothing to do with anyone else.
Yeah.
And if you're leading your life to impress other people, you're not living. So they're my 3 hacks.
Thank you so much, Magic. Those were very well needed. And yes, we need to figure out who we are, have that end in mind, you know, what's going to be written on your gravestone. He was an awesome husband, father. Yes, those are excellent things to accomplish, but then you also want to leave a legacy. And that's why we podcast, because it is going to live on long after we're gone, as long as Spotify keeps running and hosts our podcast. Those were beautiful. Thank you so much. All right, I got 6 questions for you. Are you ready?
Ready.
All right, let's see. Let's do it. What is the one hobby that you wish you got into?
I don't think there's anything I've really missed. I wouldn't mind having done horse riding, no.
I love me some horse riding. Those are fun. Majestic animals.
Definitely.
Next question. What did you want to be when you were a child?
I wanted to be a vet, but I failed year 11 physics, so I couldn't get into the course.
Nice. Vet as in a veterinarian?
Yeah, veterinarian. Yeah.
Nice. Next up, what is your favorite movie or TV show? And if none, how about a book?
Favorite movie is Xanadu. Love it. And favorite book is The Courage to Be Disliked.
The Courage to Be Disliked. Holy smokes, what a title.
Great book.
I'm going to have to check it out, because that is some tough shells you got to have to be okay by not being liked. What movie would you choose if you got to play a character in it?
I'd like to say Wonder Woman.
Yes, of course you are.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I love it.
Yeah, Wonder Woman. I think it's pretty cool.
All right, next up. If you were a board game, what would it be? Wait. Who is your favorite superhero? Because you mentioned Wonder Woman. I was like, wait, did I ask that question? Who is your favorite superhero and why?
Yeah, actually, it's not Wonder Woman. I've got to tell you.
Okay.
I like the movie, but she's not my favorite superhero. My favorite superhero is Superman.
Yeah.
The
That is
coolest.
that is the coolest superhero, and that is an example of what the environment can do for you.
Yeah.
He came from a different planet, which was dying, came to a planet Earth, and he suddenly has superpowers because the environment changed.
Yeah.
It supercharged his body. And what you're doing with your holistic natural health, being the superwoman, you're helping others extract from the nature and pull in that superpower. I love it. Last question. If you were a board game, what would it be?
Chess. I love the strategy, the thought, and I don't know the names of the pieces properly. My kids
Sure.
are young adults and they hate it when I go the horsey thing. And they're like, you've been playing chess for 40 years, Mum. Learn the names.
Doesn't matter as long as you know the strategy.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, Magic. This was a ton of fun talking with you, learning about you. And thank you so much for the tips that you've shared. They are written down, and I am going to be reading them every single day because that is powerful. We need to focus on who we are. We need to focus on how we live and how to be content.
Yeah.
Probably got it all wrong. Probably got it all wrong.
No, you're pretty close.
I'll go back and listen. Thank you so much again. And where can the superpreneurs listening here find you?
So people can find me on my website, which is www.holisticnaturalhealth.com.au, and that's holistic with a W in front of it.
Awesome. Thank you so much again, and we'll talk to you in the next one.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Hacks and Hobbies. You can find additional information on the guest today on their website, hacksandhobbies.com. Please feel free to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss out on upcoming interviews with amazing guests.